Hello, everybody. Welcome to our regular Tuesday 4 p.m. chat, where I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. I take your questions live about U.S. immigration law to provide general guidance, information, because as you know, immigration system is pretty confusing, to help you better understand what's going on and answer up-to-date questions about many sections of U.S. immigration law. Again, we're here every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, or also, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And we're getting tuned in on Instagram right now, YouTube, LinkedIn, and TikTok. TikTok channel is having some issues right now. We're getting back into it. But shoot your questions out for general educational purposes, only not intended as individual legal guidance. We'd have to talk with you personally in private to really get into that. We can always schedule a private consultation. If you're interested in that, just go to jqklaw.com/contact. Again, that's jqklaw.com/contact, and we could get to it there. Having said that, our show's opening for questions and comments. There's going to start popping up pretty soon, and we'll start jumping into it. Now, in the meantime, before we start, more questions pop in. I do want to let everyone know if you're applying for a green card in the United States, they updated the policy where you have to submit Form I-693, the medical checkup, with the I-485 application. That's the adjustment of status green card request in the United States. And to add to that, they've updated the form, which will go into effect early February, I think, a new form I-485. So be prepared that if you started your case, you haven't submitted the paperwork, it is going to be changed. So there's some updates happening there. You have to keep an eye on this stuff because they constantly change a lot of the forms, and you might got to make sure the newest one's out there. This becomes even a problem for immigration lawyers because sometimes we'll prep. I have several cases right now. I've been sitting on it for a year, and then clients finally get me the stuff that we need, and then we have the old forms. So they have to redo it. So be careful. We got to be very careful so we don't send old forms because they can be rejected and create problems, and that's a major issue. Now we're having difficulties getting into TikTok. Let me use my other phone to try to get into it. For some reason, this one is not working. Not sure what in the world's going on with TikTok today, or at least on that phone, but it's okay. We'll keep it going. So as your questions come in, please feel free to ask. I'm just behind the scenes, be working on this. The other issues that are popping up with immigration, obviously, as the new administration that's coming, the Trump administration is going to have major effects on immigration. Now, President Trump did give, or President-elect Trump did give an interview where he said he's going to try to work something out for the DACA recipients. DACA or Dreamers are people who entered the United States as a child, very small, through their parents, and now they're kind of stuck because they don't know what's going to happen to them. And President Obama created a program called Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, where they said that, okay, if you enter the U.S. as a child and you're here, we'll just give you a work permit, and we won't deport you if you don't have serious problems. And then keep renewing this till we figure out a solution. A solution never came up, still the same stuff. But that's the case right now. And those people, if you had DACA or Deferred Action for Child Arrivals, you could still renew it. If you've dropped out of it, didn't renew it, then you're stuck outside and you got to figure out what to do. But Trump has going to have a lot of things. You have a question of Flacco. Is going to help Dreamers? It's hard to say. One of our colleagues on TikTok posted she's optimistic, and she got a ton of hate speech for it. But that's all we can be, is optimistic. Hopefully, the president has understanding of the situation people are in. What are you going to do with these people? So there's people that they came when they're 2 and they're 40 now. What are you going to do? They don't even speak their home language. You can send them out. It's kind of inhumane. They're already part of this culture. They're married to U.S. citizens. They have U.S. citizen children. It's not reasonable, I think, but it's going to be a political decision at the end of the day because Congress has to act. And if President Trump is willing to use his political capital to get Congress to act positively for this, then God bless him. But it's going to come down to your local senator and representative to see what's happening. There was a court decision that came out today where President Biden wanted to help the Dreamers and say he could get extra health benefits, and 14 or 17 states sued on this, and I think they won or something like that, where in their states they don't have to give it. So there's people who are vehemently against the Dreamers too. So it is a big political question that we have to see which way it's going to go. Lily asks, we are applying for a green card abroad after getting acceptance on the I-130 petition in Europe. Does these new forms apply for people abroad? No, there's no new forms for people abroad. You got to keep the only form that you got to keep updated on is Form I-864. That's the affidavit of support. That hasn't necessarily been updated recently, but the rest of the other form is DS-260, which is an online form, which if it's updated, it's an internal update. It's not a big deal. Just make sure you have all your documents ready, civil documents, passports, birth certificates, marriage and divorce records, police certificates, name change certificates, and, maybe some unique things in your case that are a little bit different that need their own document, but that's the big picture there. We have a question from Mahad. Hi, John. How do I check when my green card is going to be delivered? It's been 8 weeks now. I haven't received the green card. When I call USCIS, respondent does not answer. And when they check the website, try to call them, get some sort of tracking information. That's about it. It's a really bad system, delivery system. So it's not a good answer. That Jane asks, what is prima facie determination and can it prevent deportation? Prima facie determinations in VAWA cases, Violence Against Women's Act cases, where they say that the basics of your case are good. I don't personally handle the VAWA case in my office, so I'm not as well in tune with all the rules of it. I don't think it'll necessarily prevent deportation, but most likely they're not going to come hassle you with that kind of case history. But I don't want to officially talk about that because I don't handle VAWA on a day-to-day basis. We have another question. I'm an asylum granted and applied for a green card. Will I get my green card? Maybe. Maybe when we want. I don't know enough about your case, Bach, so I can't answer that. If it's properly filed, everything's good, then it's good, but I don't know. Old Bull says, I just got my VAWA work permit and travel document. Do you think it's a good time to travel? No, probably not, unless you really need to. Is it normal for green cards to be delivered this late? Unfortunately, when you get a green card approved, it takes either 2 weeks or 1 year or to arrive. It is all over the place. And at least 5% of the time, I think they lose it in the post office. So you really got to keep an eye on it, make sure your addresses are updated. But it's very frustrating. Yeah, the delays in getting your green card issued, actually, like physically sent to you, is a major problem. Now, a couple of years ago, they said they're going to fix it, where they're going to mail it in a better way of tracking, but that never came through. So I don't know what's going to happen. It's very frustrating, though. We see these issues all the time. Crazy X says, hey, I-130 just went from Potomac to Texas Service Center 8 months since we filed. Is the wait over? The wait's going to be over when you get a decision, so there's no way to know. 14 months, I-130 is still pending for U.S. citizen spouse. What is the average time you're seeing? 12 to 13 months is usually the average for spouse I-130s. 14 months on the high end, but it's not unheard of. Unfortunately, yeah, these cases are backed up. People promise you faster stuff for just the I-130 standalone, but it's not normally. Hi, Daniel. Good to see you. See you, user. Good afternoon, Attorney Kostravi. See you, user. Good to see you again. One of our regulars. God bless. Good to see you. Omar says, can I travel outside the U.S. with asylum green card and home country passport? I don't recommend it because you have to apply for a refugee travel document. You shouldn't be using a passport from your home country if you file for asylum. And so I don't recommend it. I don't think that's an appropriate thing to do. But people do all the time. There's no problems. I just can't recommend that. Chris asks, is fiancé visa getting any faster? Well, they say it is. We don't necessarily, we very rarely do fiancé visas because there's extra costs and hassles associated with the fiancé visa. But this year, it may be getting, and it depends on what you mean by any faster, Chris. So when you start the case, either marriage or fiancé, you submit a form to USCIS. In the case of fiancé visa, it's I-129F. In the case of marriage, I-130. The I-130s were faster for the last couple of years than the I-129F. The I-129F timelines have gone down, so maybe a little faster. On the other hand, once the first step is done, you're preparing for step 2. It depends on which embassy you're dealing with and that kind of stuff. So is it getting faster? I wouldn't really look at the speed, really, frankly, on a K1 versus a fiancé visa versus a marriage case. I would look at the whole strategy of like, what are your goals? Do you need to work as soon as you arrive or not? How much extra money do you want to spend on the green card case, frankly, government fees, attorney fees? Which embassy are you dealing with? How strong is the evidence of the relationship of the fiancé visa? Because so the speed is the number one thing people ask about when it comes to fiancé visas. But practically speaking, from a person who's done it for 15 years, that should be question number 3 or 4. There's other things that are more important. I try to do a lot of videos about this, but people think about speed because obviously they're in love. They want to get together. But there's a bigger picture you got to look at, and that's why we talk about it during our consultations and we analyze. C user follows up, can children under 18 of a fiancé beneficiary may use a CISPA? May God bless you, attorney. God bless you too. So if you're a fiancé visa winner, you don't need to use Child Status Protection Act. It's very cool that to be included as a child of a fiancé, and this, speaking of strategic reasons, this is one of those. If you are a child of a person, like let's say I'm a U.S. citizen, I marry a woman, and she has a child that's 17. If we get married before the child's 18, I could start a case for them directly. But if the child's 19 and we get married, the child can't be part of that. It can't be petitioned for by the U.S. citizen. On the other hand, if I get engaged with a woman and the child's 19, the child could be included on that fiancé visa case. And as long as the child enters the United States with a K2, a child of a fiancé visa holder visa, they can still get a green card under age of 21. So these are the nuances of the law. It's pretty annoying that it's so nuanced. I remember I discovered this, a couple years into my practice. Now at the beginning, I was like, oh, wow, this is pretty crazy. So These are the reasons, right? Strategically, we may do a fiance visa because these kind of things exist, but almost never is it a good idea to get a fiance visa unless you just don't have enough relationship history. You just met someone and you want to apply. Then those are the case. But if you've been dating for more of a year and you have evidence and all that kind of stuff, we really don't try to do it. Some lawyers I see on TikTok say the opposite. They're like, it's crazy to not do a fiance visa. So you're gonna get different answers on that. Do I accept asylum cases, Bruce? No, I don't. We don't handle asylum at our law firm. Mom would ask, file the I-130 petition for spouse of a green card holder. Ooh, that's going to be too late. Yes, going to be late. Current date is not moving lately. No, I'm currently in the U.S. Anything else I can do? I mean, if you're validly in the U.S. Under some sort of status and your date of filing is approved, you can file for adjustment of status. But we got to see what's going on with your whole case, Muhammad. Mr. Max says, I came from the southern border. I have I-94 in 2021. In 2022, I seek asylum. Later, I got married a citizen. My interview on election day, but since I haven't heard back, I don't know exactly. That's too. I need to analyze your case privately. That's too case specific. C user, thank you for the detailed response to anything. You're welcome, C user. Jasper says, hello, John. Is confidential or public marriage certificate both are good for immigrant purposes? Yeah, it doesn't matter. In California, for example, you can have a confidential marriage or public marriage. It doesn't really matter for green card purposes. We just need the actual document. I don't recommend people do a confidential relationship unless there's some really important reason to do that, but it's not necessary to do that because it could create problems later if you want to get a document or some search. It doesn't provide much, but you may need it for your case. It might be different. Okay, Omar says, can I try? We answered that question. Hello, Brown. I am Salmer says, I filed the I-130. It's showing me 13 months to 71 months now. Please advise. I don't know what kind of I-130 you submit. Is it a parent of U.S. citizen, child, minor child, spouse, brother and sister of U.S. citizen, a minor child of a green card holder, spouse of a green card holder, adult child of a citizen, adult child that's married of a citizen, or adult child that's unmarried of it. So it's like, if you just say I-130, there's 10 different options that open up. So that's why you got to be very specific in immigration. We got to talk more detail about it. Andy says, my son is a U.S. citizen. I'm his mom. Which is faster? Constant processing adjustment application. I mean, adjustment is going to be faster inevitably, but like it's just, you can't just willy-nilly adjust. You have to satisfy a lot of requirements. And so you might have a unique situation where rarely, but probably right now, like there were periods like 6 years ago where consular will be faster. So it changes every month. So I could say adjustments faster, and then next month Trump changes things, the consular is faster. So these things change. You got to just do what's appropriate for you and what your plans or life are. And that's why, like, we have consultation sessions. People are like, I don't need a consultation. Just tell me how much the price is. It's like, I'll tell you what the price is, whatever, but first of all, it's going to vary because we have to see strategically what you need to do in your case. What are your goals in life? Some people need to be outside because they need work. Some people have children that are aging out. Some people have like criminal history or arrest history or previous violations, or like just they need to move around. They need travel permission, or they need work authorization. They don't want to be sitting in the U.S. unemployed for a period of time. They have sick parents outside, so they need to travel and be able to travel freely. So there's so many of these pieces of information we got to know to design the case strategically that's appropriate for you. And so that's why we got to see the whole thing. That's why people they go initially always like, how long does it take and how much does it cost? Those are questions 3 and 4. 1 and 2 is like, what is appropriate for you and what makes your life the best? Because maybe like, you might save $1,000 here from this or to another, but the good advice could save you $100,000 by just fixing things done properly, so you don't have to fix them up or get deported or something like that. So you got to think about the big picture of this kind of stuff. You can't just go based on price and thing and just one-off kind of things. We got to really see what's going on. Gurpreet says, I have a silent green card. Can I apply a home country passport? I don't recommend it. Jasper, okay, Mahid says, can you explain the process for regarding visit permit and how much time does the applicant need to stay in the U.S. after submission of the revisit permit application? I mean, how many weeks? I'm not sure what a revisit permit is. You might need a reentry permit. You file for it from I-131. After filing, the government gets it. The government is not clear if this is what you're asking about, if you could leave or not, but we've had clients leave and then come back for potentially biometrics appointments. But it varies dramatically. Chris Marr, hey, Mr. Straub, good to see you, Chris Marr. Random question about USCIs. Do you think the My Progress Time estimate for case are accurate? Completely inaccurate. Any timelines USCIs gives you are completely unreliable. So I don't even like look at those. C user, does Prince Harry have any reason to be afraid when Trump comes and assumes office, and also Elon Musk? No, they don't really touch people who have power and money. So okay, let's see. Let's go back to TikTok. Sammy says I-130 petition is being 2.5 years still to get my biometrics center. I-130 doesn't have biometrics, and I'm not sure what kind of case you have that's taking 2.5 years. That depends on what kind of I-130 you have. Fiance visa user 09 says, you fiance visa, got married within 90 days to husband. Am I safe? Applying for a green card, we get 1040 in January. Yeah, I mean, I have an adjustment case pending. As long as it's a good case, there's no fear there. Bruce says, mom has a green card. Should she file for over 21 children now or wait till it becomes citizen? That's really important. I'm glad you asked that because people don't ask that, they mess up. For some reason, if you're a green card holder and you apply for your adult child over 21 that's single, it's a year faster than if you're a citizen applying for an adult child. So you definitely want to apply for your adult child while you're a green card holder, not when you're a citizen or before you're a citizen. Now, once you become a citizen, you could keep the case as if you're a green card holder. The Child Status Protection Act allows for exception like that. But that's really important. I've had people mistakenly wait till they're citizens and cause a 5-year delay just get citizenship and then file, which adds another year to it. So over 6 years delay for no reason. C user says, thank you, sir. Christopher, you're welcome. C user says, wow, good to know, attorney. You're welcome. Yeah. Yeah, that's just the way it goes. Another question about 71-month processing time. Please advise. I don't know, Salma. I told you already. I don't know what kind of case you have, and the processing times are unreliable. So inevitably, you guys got to wait. So that's that. Sammy says, I-130 family petition. It's been 2.5 years. Okay, I already answered that question. Tarsem says, my case is in New York. If I get tickets in another state, what happens to me? I mean, it's probably, what are you doing? It depends on what tickets are, why you're getting tickets, but what kind of case you have. How many tickets you're getting? It's too little information to be able to answer that. Plus, it's discretionary. And are you getting tickets because you're running over people or getting DUIs, or just you had a speeding ticket one time in your life and that's it? So it depends. Abi Namu says, I'm in the USA in a B1 visa. My F4 is in process for 11 years. What do you suggest regarding adjustment status? I don't have any suggestions. Just my client. We don't have a consultation. If your case is current and you all of a sudden decide to stay, maybe we could talk about that, but I doubt your case is current, so it doesn't make a difference what you're asking most likely. Mirage says, hi, how are you? I'm doing good. My question is, which date check visa button DQ'd or priority I-130, please snaring? Mirage, you got to reword your question. Alan Salmar says, I did at Fort Smith. That's not the information I asked for, Alan Salmar. Let's see. Sanmi, you answer your question. We answer your question. Okay, a lot of repeat questions. Unfortunately, we have to start like blocking people. Flacco says, I just want to take a second to say thanks. Not many lawyers or people doing what you do goes along with. Thank you, Flacco. I really appreciate that. God bless you. The movie can says, what do you think about the chance of Trump administration successfully getting support for the 14th Amendment? Essentially, Trump getting rid of birthright citizenship. I don't know. These are political things, and it's like crystal ball kind of stuff. I just want to talk about what I actually could talk about, which is like, okay, the things I know, but what's going to happen in the future, I don't know. I can't really say. You knew better than I do. Daily Lifestyle says, my wife applied for citizenship in August 24, and USI says she's behind. What should we do? Probably nothing. I don't know if there's a unique, I got to see your case and see if there's some sort of issue or unique issue. But you filed in August and it's December now, 4 months. It's just like, just wait. It's not a big deal. It's just, that's like, no, in immigration, that's like 2 seconds. CMR says, would you take cases involving someone filing for I-485 who entered through the parole 22D5? Maybe. I used to not take those cases, but more and more we have those. So I got to know the whole picture because you might have an NTA notice to appear. So I got to see what the court situation is. But we are open to those cases now, CMR. Because just there's too many of them, so we can't say no because people need that help. TikTok says, will the new administration affect I-751? If yes, how? Probably not, but maybe they'll be more like, attuned to like, will they? They'll be more skeptical of the relationship, but probably that's not going to be affected. The 751 is probably going to be affected. User 09 already answered your question in detail. We don't do SIGIS cases, so I can't help you on that, Green. What does it mean that the I-130 got approved? That means your petition for alien relative, like the relationship evidence that the person who you are is related to is approved, and then you could potentially start the next step of your case. Cesar says, can someone whose green card expired 6 years ago still renew? It depends on why it was expired. So is it I-751 2-year conditional green card expired? Or is it a 10-year green card, you forgot to renew it, or some other issues? But potentially it could be renewed. And did you stay in the U.S., or have you like been abandoning your green card, live outside for 6 years? There's a lot going on there. Box says, my green card's receipt start with the MSC. Word, does that mean I live in Texas? It doesn't mean anything. Like practically for you, it doesn't mean anything at all. Just, make sure you have a good case. That's about it. BJ says, hello, my I-130 denied last year. Been 1 year now. Reapplying, guess in 1 year, nothing movement. Why would an I-130 be case denied? That's problematic right there. We got to see what in the world happened in your case. C user says, why do some lawyers suggest that you can marry after 60 days of last entry as opposed to 90 days after last entry to overcome immigrant intent? So a lot of lawyers say a lot of different things. I don't agree with most of them. I'm in the minority, but there's this idea that if you're visiting the U.S. on a temporary visa and you get married within 60 or 90 days, they'll accuse you of fraud. You really wanted to come to the U.S. to get married to apply for a green card. However, getting married, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to want to stay here. People come here and get married. It's a destination weddings too. Okay, so that's why I don't believe in that. Now, if a client comes to me after 30 days and says, you know what, we decided to stay here because we heard consular processing takes forever and we didn't plan on it, but we changed, okay, we'll do it. But I'll say, okay, wait, get married after 60 or 90 days, a little bit later. So some annoying officer will have hassle with it. But some people are really strict, say wait 90 days. But I'm not strict on that because first of all, we review the cases. People have intent, don't have intent. They had a return ticket, they have a life, work back home. They didn't intend to stay here. But once they got here, it's hard when you're a freshly in love couple. It's really hard to go separate. And then once they want to get married, they're visiting the U.S., decide to get married, and then go back home to wait out the process. And they realize it's gonna take 2 to 4 or 5 years to get the green card done. They may be like, oh dang, let's just stay here then. Let's just change it. So these things happen. Manuel says, I filed the N400 December 2023 in the interview. Okay, your question is not complete. Maha says, how much time did it take for a biometric appointment to arrive after filing Form I-131 reentry permit? Typically 3 to 4 weeks, but it could be months. It's just all over the place. During COVID, it was taking a year and a half, 2 years. Chris Marr says, last question, sir. Do you think that's ever a good idea to file writ of mandamus for delayed I-765? If so, for how long? We don't do lawsuits, so I don't have the best answer to that. But yeah, if you feel it's taking too long, over 6 months or a year or something, then do it. I mean, I'd try to file an expedite request if it's that urgent. I'd do that first. But if you really want to do it, good. C user, nice to hear your thoughts on this, attorney. Thank you so much. You're welcome, C user. Nibeli says, fiance with the K1 visa interview in Lebanon and given a DS 5535 because he's studying in Belarus. Yeah, there's also kids from Lebanon that probably got that too. How long is the wait time? Unknown. It could be years, unfortunately. We might have to file a lawsuit. Notification says, I have a green card, but I don't want a valid passport for my home country. I don't have, okay. I don't know what to tell you about that. Cesar says, can someone who's green already answered that question? We got to talk into privately to see why it is that your green card has expired and we didn't renew it this long. You're welcome, Chris Marr. Okay, we got a lot of repeat questions that I get through on TikTok. Juicy says, how long can Canadians stay in the U.S. and how does a 12-month rolling period reset? There's no 12-month rolling period. That's just like a misnomer. Some even officers at the airport say that, but there's no formal reset. If they think that you're coming here to work or live and you're not and reside, then they can not let you in, and that could be even the first time you're coming. How much is a consultation? Depends on what kind of case you have, and consultation fees are going up for 2025 because we're getting slammed with so many consultations. I got to raise the price so less people schedule, frankly. So it's probably going to be between $300 to $400 for consultation. Wow, this has gone up. Yeah, it is what it is, but it depends on what kind of case you have. Baby Rollins says, hi, John. My husband is filing his adjustment of status, and we need a co-sponsor. If joint sponsors are coupled, do they both need to use we need to see how much joint sponsor makes. If one of the joint sponsors makes enough, their spouses need to be in there, but we need their W-2 form to prove that part of their income that you're using is theirs and not the other spouse's, or else what's called the form I-864A is going to be required, and the other spouse is going to be needed. So it gets complicated. B. Samara says, on the USA's website for my I-130 processing time, say this or that. Why is that? Because it's all wrong. The processing times are all wrong. May says, if the mother is American and dad is Canadian, but you're born in Canada, are you a U.S. citizen? It depends on whether the mother lived in the U.S. enough time, 5 years, 2 of which are after the age of 14. If you could document the physical presence of the mother in the United States and then pass down to the child. If you can't, you got to find alternatives to pass down a green card or citizenship to the child. People think that you automatically get your child automatically gets citizenship if you're a U.S. citizen overseas. And this is one of those, I did a video on this and you get a lot of hate for this. For some reason, people get angry that they think I'm lying. But just because you're a citizen doesn't mean you automatically give citizenship to your child. We have tons of people who come to us who were born in the U.S., left, never came back, had a child, and then they think their child's going to be a citizen, but they're not. It just doesn't pass down that way. Okay. Oh, time flew by. Okay, so we got a lot of repeat questions, especially from Cesar Miguel. Brother, the people who are asking the same question over again. It's very, very unfair to the people who are like asking one-off questions. You normally I'd mute people, but I just don't feel like pressing all the buttons right now. But I'll probably mute Cesar, unfortunately, because you're just destroying the flow. It's just whoever does that, just know it's rude. I'm trying to do some stuff here, trying to help people. You can't ask your question a million times, especially if you answered it. So let me just mute accounts. Yeah. Okay. Manuela says, what can I do? I don't know, Manuela, what your question was. You might need to wait. 4 months is nothing. Just wait. Caesar says, does time as a permanent resident count for the age out of 14? Any time if you're in the U.S. without permission counts. Any physical time in the U.S. is pretty crazy. Any physical time in the U.S. counts towards passing down citizenship for that purpose. You just got to be able to document it, going to school records, anything to show doctor records that you're here and can add up. All right, let's see some more questions. Blah said it's been 2 months since it said being forwarded to NBC. What's the next interview? Well, you got to get the case to the NBC. If it hasn't gone there after 3 months, contact them. And then medical exams at the very end when the interview is scheduled, but you got to do a bunch of work before that, Blah. Katie says, how do you answer the question, when did you get married, when you got married to the same person twice? I mean, if you got divorced in between, you got to do the newest marriage, because if the first marriage ended, it ended, and you got married again second. But you need to explain that to USCIS, because they're going to get confused, or the government too, or NBC, just government in general. Juicy, I already answered your question. Baby says, if you did shoplifting, will I still get a green card to file for 5? It's going to be a problem. Depends on how much the shoplifting was, what the charges were. So that could be a serious issue. Tariq says, before you get married to the U.S. citizen, is it necessary to apply for fiancé visa or apply direct green card? Tariq, it depends. Download my guide. I haven't mentioned it, but I have a free guide. It's like 50-plus pages. Go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com, and it'll help answer your question. And each chapter essentially has a video that explains it in more detail, so it helps out a lot of people. We get hundreds and hundreds of you download this guide. People really enjoy it. Gurpreet says, can I travel multiple times with advanced parole? If you have a multi-travel advanced parole and you have a clean case, so you don't have problems, yeah. How long does it take to get a green card once approved? 2 weeks, 2 years. It's all over the place. How can I overcome the permanent bar within the U.S.? You can't unless you have like extreme case like VAWA or something like that. Gustav, can I remove of my green card if me and my spouse got divorced after a year of marriage? I don't know what you mean removing my green card. Remove conditions? Yeah, I have videos on this on YouTube. Check that out. Manuel says, no, I'm going to wait 12 months after the interview, or can I file writ of mandamus? You can file a lawsuit with USCIS. I think if it's like 3 or 4 months after you interview, no decision. But first, you want to try just contacting them, sending a letter, calling USCIS, and really seeing if there's a particular issue, because you might have problems with your case. So if it takes a long time, it might be because they're going to come with a hammer. So you don't want to just willy-nilly file that. Talk with a lawyer to analyze your case. Maybe do a FOIA request to get a copy of it, because you may have issues that you weren't aware of. We get this all the time. I just had a conversation last week with the guy. He got really angry at me that I found out that his green card was improperly issued, and if he files for citizenship, they're going to take his green card away and put him in court and kick him out. And he got really angry at me. He's like, I'm lying. I'm like, well, here's the law, and go get a second opinion and then come back and apologize. I didn't say that second part, but I wish he would, because he was so angry at me. But don't kill the messenger. LinkedIn user says, I submitted my documents to the NSF in July for consideration of my application, J1 waiver, but I've yet to receive a response. Can you confirm this delay is typical? It depends on what kind of waiver you submitted, LinkedIn user. They're super backed up, but July is normal. I mean, July is 07, that's 4 months ago. Yeah, they're super backed up. Just make sure you have a case number and it comes up in the system. But that case could take 6 months to 12 months easy for an easy case. Caden says, my I-130 got approved. Could I file for K3 visa after? No, it's too late for K3s. Ariane says, is it safe for F1 visa holder to go back to his or her country for a quick vacation? If you have proper background, your visa is still valid, CBP is not going to have issues, you have a new I-20 issued, you learn the school. Is it safe? Is it safe to get in the car and drive to work? Usually, yeah, it is, but I don't know. Maybe you get in a car accident. Ilo says, hello, my sister-in-law. She has a green card before 1 month ago and birthplace show unknown. I don't know. I got to see what's going on there with that. That's weird. Cam, is military pro in place still in play? Yeah, military pros works. Some places might lag, but generally still in place. Utah here says, can I travel my 48-month green card extension letter? That's what it's for. Now, whether you could do it or not, I don't know, but that's what the goal of that extension letter is for. Hopefully says, how long is the interview for El Salvador NBC after DQ? I don't know. 3 months, 2 years. USCIS approved I-134 sent to NBC, but NBC said the foreign embassy is back up and can't send it now. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know your case, but maybe that's got to wait maybe. What advanced parole with VAWA will affect? I don't know what your question is, but don't use advanced parole if you're afraid. Tosal says, hi, I come here as a refugee. I have a green card. Can I travel with my home country passport? I don't recommend it. They don't want you using your home country passport. People do it all the time. It's not an issue, but yeah. Sir, where are you living? Where are you living? Are your contact number? Well, I don't really tell people where I live. That's private, but go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact if you want to schedule a private consultation. And let's take 1 or 2 more questions and call it a day. Thank you for joining, by the way. Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and TikTok. Ayman says, I get last green card lottery, May status single, but I have wife and kids. How to start the case? If you had a wife and kids when you submit in the green card lottery, you get denied for not properly filling out the form. But if you got married and have kids after, it's possible, but you just got to add it to the case. It's not hard, but you got to just tell the government to add them. Sim says, hey, John, my husband's I-130 has been processing now, but I just lost my job. Can I ask for our case to be expedited based on his cases in Israel? I don't think you're going to expedite because you lost your job and the case is in Israel. I'm not really sure if that's like, I'll be honest and talk. I'm not sure why they would expedite for that reason. Steve says, hi, John. Hi, you too. Feel free to shoot your question. You have like 20 seconds. Okay. So Steve says, always a good time to see you live. Attorney, you're welcome. Thank you for all the community support. God bless you, Steve. I appreciate it. Is there any chance of getting called by Newark office with short notice? I don't know. It's not up to me. And let's go to one question. Divorcing my spouse, can he get citizenship without me sponsoring him? Process never started. If it's not citizenship, it's a green card. But if you're abusive, yeah, valid claim. And let's see, one last question. Gustav keeps saying, hi, John, and the rest of the question is not popping up. Sorry, Gustav, there's some issue going on with your stuff there. Can you travel to Puerto Rico if you have a work permit? Puerto Rico is part of the United States, so you don't need anything other than proper ID to travel, but sometimes they'll hassle you if you don't have proper status, even though it's Puerto Rico. Arion answered that. Will Trump do this? I don't know what Trump's going to do. Guy does double tap on screenshot. Guy does double tap on screenshot. Okay. Okay, let's go to the most last question. I'm a green card holder. Kenzo says, can I apply for my son who's 21? Can his case be effective ages come along? So a green card holder can apply for minor children that are single and adult children that are single. Problem is, it's if he's 21 or older, it's going to take like 7-9 years, something like that. So you can start the process, but it's going to take a while. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back again next week, Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. I try to do some pop-ups where we do these live stuff. So I recommend following us on YouTube, JQK Law Firm or U.S. Immigration Talk. Or on TikTok as well. Usually I do all of them. And Instagram, JQK Law, or I'm not sure what the name is, Immigration Lawyer John. We use all these different screen names. So you pop up, you get a notification. But other than that, thank you so much. God bless. Be safe. And I'll see you all next Tuesday. Bye-bye.